In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court upholding Tennessee's law banning certain medical treatments for transgender minors. Lucas Tomlinson has the details. Lucas?
Well, good morning, Ainsley. It was a highly anticipated ruling with implications nationwide. The Supreme Court ruling to uphold a Tennessee law banning medical procedures, including puberty blockers, to transition minors to another sex. Clarence Thomas writing, quote, "This case carries a simple lesson. In politically contentious debates over matters shrouded in scientific uncertainty, courts should not assume that self-described experts are correct." The ruling drew protesters outside the Supreme Court yesterday. Earlier on Fox and Friends First, an attorney in California says more states should follow suit after this Supreme Court ruling.
Right now, we have 27 states that have restrictions on gender interventions on children. Gavin Newsom and his attorney general already have stated that they're going to continue to push forward with gender interventions on kids. So the blue states need help, so we need congressional action.
Attorney General Pam Bondi posting, "I applaud today's Supreme Court decision that allows states to protect vulnerable children from genital mutilation and other so-called gender-affirming care that leaves children permanently disfigured and scarred." Justice Sonia Sotomayor, one of 3 justices who dissented, writes, "By retreating from meaningful judicial review exactly where it matters most, the court abandons transgender children and their families to political whims. In sadness, I dissent." Now, following the Supreme Court's ruling, the next steps likely involve legal challenges to similar bans in other states, including funding for these kinds of transgender procedures. Griff?
All right, Lucas Tomlinson in Washington. Lucas, thank you.
President Donald Trump's administration on Friday asked the Supreme Court to permit enforcement of a passport policy requiring transgender and non-binary applicants to list their sex as male or female according to their birth certificate. Due to a lower court order, transgender and non-binary people can receive passports with an X identification marker instead of male or female. The Justice Department has appealed that order, the Associated Press reported. In its filing on Friday, Justice Department lawyers argued, private citizens cannot force the government to use inaccurate sex designations on identification documents that fail to reflect the person's biological sex, especially not on identification documents that are government property, and an exercise of the president's constitutional and statutory power to communicate with foreign governments. On January 20, President Trump signed an executive order directing the federal government to recognize only male or female designations based on an individual's immutable biological classification. The order instructed the State Department to issue official documents, including passports, in line with that standard. A federal judge in Massachusetts later ruled the State Department must provide transgender and non-binary applicants with passports reflecting the gender designation they select. The First Circuit Court of Appeals declined to block that order while the case moves forward, prompting the administration to appeal to the Supreme Court. For more than 3 decades before the Trump administration, the State Department permitted people to update the sex designation on their passports. In 2022, the Biden administration introduced the option for applicants to choose X as a gender-neutral designation and to select M or F to indicate male or female, according to Reuters.